I have tried so many face and body devices, some great, some terrible. So today I want to rank them to help you decide what's worth your time and money. Hey guys, it's Robin and welcome to the Science of Self-Care, where we fall in love with the practice of taking care of ourselves so we can live better longer. I think I might be part vampire because when it gets dark and cold and wintry, I get so happy. Let me know if you also love wintry vibes as much as I do. I'm gonna do some skincare after this, so I'm having a really nice self-care evening. But first, I wanted to chat through a video I've been really wanting to make for a while, which is basically reviewing all the different face and body self-care devices that I have used in the past. When I was younger, I was definitely a device maximalist. I loved experimenting and trying so many different things. I think now I'm a little bit more of a minimalist in my skincare and my devices, but I don't want all my previous experiments and explorations to go to waste. So let's rank these different devices. I'm going to divide this video into facial devices and then body devices because I know some of you are skincare junkies and some of you are less so. So if you want to skip ahead to body/health devices, then I will put all the timestamps down below. You can also skip to specific devices down below. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my computer here and we're gonna be ranking these all together. I have 7 tiers from highest ranked to lowest ranked. The first tier is a desert island must-have. This is the ultimate essential. I'd take it to a deserted island and repurchase it forever. I love it so much. The next tier down is if I was robbed, I would repurchase. So this level is quite sacred as well. It's a high impact device, worth every penny, and it passes the love test. Next down the line, we have genuine fan, this works. So this is a solid performing device with reliable results and I trust it. Then down the line, we have fun to test, but not life-changing. So this is an enjoyable experience, maybe mildly effective, but not a long-term keeper. Next down the line, we have a works, but not worth the investment, time, or money. So this may be technically functional, but the cost, effort, or inconvenience outweighs the benefit. Next, we have over-engineered self-care. And to me, this is really the gimmicky category. So this device just is unnecessary, or there's little to no measurable impact, or I just feel like it's gimmicky. And the lowest rank is return to sender. This is a complete flop, a waste of time, money, and possibly even damaging. I do have some devices we're going to be discussing that I feel are damaging to some degree. So that's the return to sender category. Also, today I actually bought these reusable silicone eye mask patches. The concept behind these is you can put any sort of skincare or eye serum underneath it, and it will just occlude it, block it in, and help it penetrate your skin more deeply. So I'm thinking during this video, I'm going to put it on my right eye. And by the end of the video, we can see whether there's a difference between my eyes. If you watch this channel, you know I'm a fan of A/B testing, so let's put this on. By the way, this is not sponsored and none of the devices in this video are sponsored. Most of them I've purchased with my own money. Some of them were sent to me to test. Regardless, I'm gonna be brutally honest. I'm gonna share my true experiences and thoughts. So just know that much. There is a sponsor to this video, LMNT electrolytes, which we'll talk about later. So you want to use these eye patches on clean skin. I do have makeup on the other parts of my face. I'm so excited to try this. Okay. Hopefully this isn't extremely distracting during this video. All right. Enough yip yapping, let's get ranking. Okay, first we're gonna start off with face. The first facial device on the list, but also one of the first ones I purchased many years ago, is a high frequency wand. I'm always surprised at how many people haven't heard of these things. They've been around for ages, but I personally am a huge fan. Essentially, they use oxygen to kill bacteria, but to also stimulate blood flow. I would say that it feels like it's zapping your skin, but you don't touch it to the skin. You just let it create this little layer of ozone that kills acne-causing bacteria, and it's so good at minimizing and drying up acne. Highly recommend if you feel like you have a lot of active breakouts. I've also noticed in the past using it under my eyes helped brighten that area. And the craziest effect of all that I've noticed is how much it stimulates hair growth. So there was a time when I was using it every night on my eyebrows and in my hairline, but now I'm just too lazy to do this every night. I only use it if I have a really bad acne spot or breakout that I kind of want to stop in its tracks. But this is a great device. I think I'm going to put it under if I was robbed, I would repurchase. It's great. I can highly recommend, and it's relatively affordable compared to some of the devices on this list. So I think it's worth every penny. Next, we have a classic red light mask, and I'm calling this classic red light mask because there are a few other masks on this list that I would say are not classic masks in that they have extra features or are a little fancier. So what I mean by classic red light mask is the Light Salon mask that I've talked about in so many videos that I know and love, current body masks and Omnilux masks that have kind of the gold standard red light therapy wavelengths at an irradiance that's not super strong, usually 30 milliwatts per centimeter squared. And I love these masks. I use my Light Salon mask every single morning, and I have been for 5 years, which is crazy to think it's already been 5 years. But I'm putting this under my desert island must-have. I won't go too much into details here because I've made so many videos on red light masks and red light therapy, but the reason I also love it so much is I use it every morning while I wake up and I sort of meditate and visualize, and it's just the first 10 minutes of my day are so bright and wonderful, and I really feel like it boosts my mood as well. And there is research to support the idea that red light therapy can have mood boosting effects. So for me, this is a desert island must-have. I don't know where I would charge the battery on the desert island, but I'm taking it with me anyways. Next, we have this radio frequency machine. I'm going to show a picture on the screen because I feel like these are basically drop shipped, and they have many different brands that are kind of slapped onto them. But this is a big radio frequency machine that you can order online. There was a period in my 20s where I was very into this idea of radio frequency. It kind of had a hype several years back. Radio frequency can actually melt fat or change the soft tissue of the skin. So now I am hyper careful with radio frequency. I wouldn't do any radio frequency machine at home myself. And even going into a clinic, I've just read so many stories of people deeply regretting getting radio frequency done because they feel like it changed the composition of their soft tissue and kind of melted fat. And radio frequency actually heats up the skin, which can cause facial fat loss. So for me, this machine, I used it very sparingly and already kind of feel like I screwed up. There's a portion of my cheek here that I kind of burned. So this radio frequency machine, extremely intense, scary to have at home as a DIY device, and I am going to put it under return to sender. I just think this is something most people should not be playing around with at home, and if you do want to explore radio frequency, go to a very well-established, well-rated practitioner and let them do it for you, because basically how long you put heat and what settings, that can all change the results. And some people absolutely love radio frequency for its lifting, brightening effect. But if it's done wrong, it can definitely do damage to your skin. In a similar vein of radio frequency, I have this silken FaceTite device that I once bought majorly on sale. I think it was during Black Friday or something. And this device I feel a little less negative about because I think it was more controlled and you're not likely to burn yourself as much, but I still am just not a fan, and I think it's excessive, and the time you need to put into doing this every day, this specific device, is not worth it to me. So I'm going to put this in over-engineered self-care. I think it's unnecessary, and you can get better results doing things in a clinic or doing less potentially damaging things. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with radio frequency now. Yay. Okay. Next, we have microcurrent. I have two different devices that I have used extensively. The first one I ever used was the Nuface Mini. I have, again, a love-hate relationship with microcurrent. I used this Nuface Mini for probably several years on my face, maybe around 2 years. And looking back, I absolutely hated it. I didn't realize it at the time, but essentially what microcurrent is doing is delivering electricity to the muscles that you're placing it on, which causes your muscles to contract and helps essentially grow the muscle mass of wherever you're putting it. And without realizing it, my muscles over time were slowly becoming bigger in my face. All my muscles were essentially becoming very tense and contracted. And not only did it not look good, it did not feel good. It actually made me have TMJ and masseter issues. So all of that to say, I am actually surprisingly a huge fan of microcurrent and nanocurrent devices because I use them on my lips. And for the lips, I think they are amazing. I can't sing the praises enough. So I've been using them on my lips for probably maybe 4 years. I think they help plump and lift my lips in a very natural way because it's just it's essentially just exercising the muscles of the lips, and I just really like the way that it looks. So this is complete vanity. This is not anything related to health, but I just absolutely love the way microcurrent and nanocurrent make my lips look. Okay, so I have 2 devices here. The Nuface Mini is the first one I used, and I'm going to put it under genuine fan this works because it does work. It works too well on the face that I didn't like it, but it really does work. However, the Ziip Halo, which I have been using for the past year, I love way more. It is not only microcurrent, but it's also nanocurrent, and it's so easy to use, it's comfortable, and way more personalized. In the app, you can do just nanocurrent or just microcurrent or do all these different protocols. You can do a lip protocol. There's so many more options. It's so much more convenient to hold and use and to travel with. And I think it just works really well. So my Ziip Halo, which I use on my lips, is going under, if I was robbed, I would repurchase. This is kind of a, I guess, weird little intermission, but I want to talk about these Medicube devices, which Medicube actually sent to me probably a year or so ago, and I'm so grateful when companies send things for me to test. But basically, the idea behind these devices is that they are shooting tiny holes in your skin, and that's helping your skincare penetrate deeper. And as someone with really sensitive skin, I've just become very apprehensive about trying these types of devices. I've heard mixed reviews about these things, and I just feel like it's something unnecessary. And I've already had a compromised skin barrier in the past, and I don't want to mess with my skin barrier too much. So I personally don't want to test these extensively. But I want to mention that I have them because I would love to send them to one of you guys if one of you wanted to test them extensively. And I will ship these to you. You can play around with them, experiment with them, do whatever you want with them. But I'm realistically not going to test it because I just don't feel comfortable and confident testing this. But I would love if one of you wants to take it over rather than sitting on a dusty shelf in my house. I'd love to send it to one of you. And if you want to enter, all you have to do is put a little heart emoji down below and share a favorite device that you love. It doesn't even have to be a fancy high-tech device. It can also be a gua sha. It could be your hands for massaging. Basically, any type of device you like. Share that with us, plus a little heart. And then I will use a random number generator to send this to one of you guys. So I'm not going to put this on this chart. I don't have enough personal information using it. I'm going to put it off to the side, and maybe if one of you tests it and reports back, then I can put it in its rightful place. Now I want to talk about some face masks that are, I would say, beyond the classic red light face mask. One of them is the JOVS 4D laser face mask. I have used this a little bit, but honestly, I stopped testing it. I was thinking of doing a whole video on it, but I stopped testing it because it was too intense for my skin. And when I looked into the specs, it has a super strong irradiance. Remember, I said that I prefer my irradiance on my masks to be 30 milliwatts per square centimeter. This one has a super strong irradiance, and it also has a higher wavelength that penetrates more deeply into the skin, and I'm not convinced that these higher wavelengths work well for my skin. I have very thin, sensitive skin, and so I could already tell after a few uses of this mask it was sensitizing my skin. However, if you do not have sensitive skin, maybe this could work well for you. I'm personally gonna put this under return to sender for me. The reason is mainly that I think it's just too strong for anyone who has somewhat sensitive skin, and it's extremely expensive. It is twice the price of most other face masks on the market, and personally I just don't think it's worth it. But if you are someone who has used this JOVS 40 laser face mask and you do love it, please share with us down below. I'm just giving you my honest personal thoughts. Next, we have another fancy face mask, and this is the Shark CryoGlow mask, I believe it's called. And this one has special eye patches, special metal eye patches that actually, when you use the mask, have a cooling effect. It's basically similar to wearing ice cubes on your eyes while you're doing a face mask. And the problem I have with this is that these giant chunks of cold hard metal are not only a little bit uncomfortable, but they also block the red light therapy from reaching a large part of your face. And personally, I really want my red light therapy masks to work around the eyes, especially the under eyes, because they really help boost collagen and brighten the area. So I feel like this is a case of an over-engineered, maybe even a little bit gimmicky product, in that I'd rather just have a good quality, simple red light therapy face mask. And if I want to do cooling around my eyes, I would do that separately. So I'm going to put this in the over-engineered category. So those are the facial devices. Before we move on to the body devices, I want to take a quick break to talk about the sponsor of this video. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you will know that I am a longtime fan of LMNT electrolytes. Recently, I received some questions and comments from you guys regarding maltodextrin in LMNT, which is not something I had previously really researched. So I wanted to take this sponsorship segment to dig into that and share what I found. So if you're unfamiliar with maltodextrin, it's a simple carbohydrate that's commonly used as a carrier for powdered natural flavors. And though maltodextrin is not classified as a sugar, it is considered to have a high glycemic impact, which I know can be important for some of you who may be drinking LMNT on a very carb-conscious diet. I think ingredient transparency is super important so we can all make informed decisions about what we want to put into our body. So here's a little guide on the maltodextrin in LMNT. Most LMNT flavors contain around 300 milligrams of maltodextrin, though the amount varies slightly depending on how much flavoring is used in that particular flavor. So for example, citrus salt contains a little bit less flavoring, so it has around 250 milligrams of maltodextrin, whereas mango chili uses a bit more flavoring due to its higher flavor intensity, and that has about 450 milligrams of maltodextrin. I will link an article about this below. LMNT's newest flavor, lemonade salt, was actually formulated without maltodextrin and instead uses tapioca fiber as the flavor carrier. And this is a resistant starch that has pretty much no glycemic impact. Their unflavored mix also contains no maltodextrin since there's no added flavor, and all of their sparkling drinks are maltodextrin free as well because the natural flavors used aren't powdered. So all in all, the maltodextrin in the flavored powdered packets account for roughly 1 to 2 calories out of the total 5 calories per packet. For most people, that amount won't meaningfully affect blood sugar, but if you are following a very strict low carb diet or you're diabetic and prefer to avoid maltodextrin altogether, then lemonade salt, unflavored, and the sparkling LMNT options are going to be great choices. But if you prefer full control over your ingredients, LMNT actually shares their DIY electrolyte recipe on their website, so you can make your own version of LMNT at home and decide exactly what you'd like to include in your version. What we choose to eat and drink is such a personal decision, and my hope is that this information helps you decide what feels right for your body. After looking into this, I personally still feel very comfortable and confident drinking LMNT. It really works so incredibly well for me, especially during pregnancy right now. Hydration is so important, and actually when I don't drink electrolytes, I start to get headaches and I feel it. But even before pregnancy, it was a really key way for me to recover quickly from hot yoga, which also used to cause me to get headaches. So functionally, LMNT is just a staple in my healthy lifestyle. So if you would like to try LMNT yourself, you can get a free sample pack of their most popular flavors by using this link, drinklmnt.com/selfcare. Thank you, LMNT, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, let's move on to body devices. Number one in the body category is a vibration plate. Basically, a vibration plate sends different types of vibrations up through your entire body, and I personally love to use it for recovery, sore muscle recovery after a workout. It really helps drain any lactic acid. I feel so good after I use it. It helps with any joint pain, back pain. It just feels really good and boosts my mood. It also really helps against constipation. It gets things moving down there. I won't go into too many details on a vibration plate because I have made videos on these plates in the past, but this is definitely going into the if I was robbed, I would repurchase category, and I haven't been able to use it because I'm currently pregnant. You're not supposed to use one when you're pregnant, and I really, really miss it. So I'll be looking forward to the day I give birth to step back on the vibration plate. Next, we have the Oura Ring. I have owned an Oura Ring since how many years? Probably 4 years. I still have the same one that I first got. My Oura Ring is actually my engagement ring. I told my husband that I did not want a fancy diamond. I wanted an Oura Ring, and he listened. So I still have the same Oura Ring. I don't currently have it on. I actually use it intermittently. And recently, I feel like it's been giving me dermatitis because moisture gets trapped under it. It never happened to me in the first 3 years of owning this ring, but in the past 6 months, I seem to get dermatitis under my Oura Ring if I keep it on too long. So that's a shame. But in general, I think the Oura Ring has taught me a lot about my sleep, but also about my ovulation. It actually helped me become pregnant this year because I was able to track my body temperature and ovulation using this. So for me, I'm going to put the Oura Ring under genuine fan. This works. I think it's a solid product that you can get a lot out of. Okay, next we have a full body red light panel. This I also already made a video on, so I won't go into too much detail, but in general, I think these can be great at reducing systemic inflammation. And I do love red light therapy of all kinds, but truth be told, I don't love my panel as much as my mask, and that's partially because it's more intense, the irradiance is stronger, and the wavelength frequencies also go higher, which just makes this specific panel more intense, which means for my sensitive facial skin, it can sometimes be too much. So I think this is great for my body, but it sometimes sensitizes my face. Also, you should be naked standing in front of it, which I find a little bit of a nuisance. So I don't use it as often as my mask. So I'm going to put this under genuine fan. This works. Next, we have a CGM. I have also made a video on this, so if you want more details on that, definitely check out my CGM video. But in general, I am a very big fan of CGMs. They really empower us to understand how our individual bodies respond to food. And I think they're useful even if you don't have diabetes. The more people are using CGMs and the more common they become, the cheaper they will become, the more readily available they will be to everyone. I think learning about our blood sugar and learning to manage our blood sugar is one of the best things we can do for our long-term health. So I learned a lot from using a CGM. I'm going to put it under genuine fan. This works. It really does work. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but I think it can be extremely enlightening. Next, we have at-home IPL devices like the Kenzzi device. I feel like Kenzzi specifically was very popular several years ago. So this device is used for body hair removal, and it actually does work pretty well on me, but I am also the perfect candidate. I have very fair skin and dark hair, and these devices work best with contrast. If you have very light hair or very dark, deep skin, you may not get good results, and even actually you can burn your skin if you have very deep melanin-rich skin. One of these at-home IPL devices could even burn your skin. So I think I'm a good candidate for this device. It did work for me. It does slow down hair growth. You have to use it very consistently. I don't know if these at-home IPL devices are saving you that much time, money, and effort. An off-label use that I did use this device for, especially when I was a college student with less disposable income, I would use this to give myself photo facials. I, again, would not recommend other people do this. I would recommend if you want to get a photo facial to just go into a clinic and get a photo facial. It actually did work for me. It helped get rid of redness and even my skin tone. However, again, I am a great candidate with a very light skin tone, and if you have deeper skin, you can burn yourself with these devices. Do not recommend doing that. Just go see a dermatologist or specialists with these types of things. Okay, but where am I going to put this device? I'll put fun to test, but not life-changing, because it does work. It's not life-changing. Okay, next we have my walking pad. I don't know if this is a device. I'm just considering device anything kind of electronic / high tech. But my walking pad is such a light of my life. It is a joy. It allows me to walk in the dark, even if it's really crazy rainstorms outside or blazingly hot outside. I can still go for a walk. I can walk while I work and do video calls. With the amount that I use it and how much I've gotten out of it, I feel like it needs to be in the top tier. So I'm gonna bring my walking pad to the desert island. Maybe on the desert island it's really hot and I can just use my walking pad under a palm tree. Okay, next we have this little stepper. I don't know if this is a device. It does have a little electronic step count thing on it. I recently got this and I love it so much. I had to add it to this list. This I got on sale for $45, which I think is such a reasonable price. And it's actually a great workout. So if you are a fan of elliptical type things, I think this is a great option to have at home. It's low impact, great for pregnancy, and especially after I give birth in several months and I have a newborn, it's just nice to be able to do these types of things, even for 10 minutes at home, and just continue to move your body, make sure your muscles are engaged, take care of yourself. And let me tell you, this thing looks like it would be not that hard of a workout, but I used this yesterday and my butt is sore today. So my stepper goes, I feel like I haven't had it long enough to really know how much I love it, but because it's really well priced, I'm gonna put it under if I was robbed, I would repurchase, because so far I'm really enjoying this little stepper. Okay, next we have Lumen, which is a metabolism tracker. Essentially what this does is you blow into it, it measures the carbon dioxide in your breath and uses that as a proxy for whether you are likely burning more fats for fuel or more carbohydrates for fuel. I know this device gets some flack for not being as good as a laboratory test to test what type of fuel your body is burning and your metabolic flexibility. However, for an at-home test, I still found it useful to use, but I think it's the type of device that after you use it for several weeks and maybe even several months, and you learn about your body and how your body responds to different foods and different ways of eating, then you don't really need to use it anymore. So that's personally how I feel about it. I think it's fun to test, but not life-changing. And it's not cheap, so I think it's really up to everyone individually whether it's worth the price tag. I will say it helped me understand that my body doesn't do very well with long-term fasting. For a lot of people, long-term fasting or super low-carb diets can actually help them burn fat. Using this Lumen, I realized that extensive fasting and eating too few carbohydrates actually makes my body less likely to burn fat, and that I was more likely to wake up in a fat-burning state if I didn't eat a dinner that was too early, so that my fasting window wasn't too long. And if I go to bed hungry, I'm probably not going to wake up in a fat burning state. And just a little point on metabolic flexibility. Metabolic flexibility is our ability to switch between burning fats as fuel and carbohydrates for fuel. And this ability to switch between these two fuel sources can be a great indicator of the health of our metabolism. Okay, next we have Alphabeats Neurofeedback. So Neurofeedback is any sort of device that measures your brain waves and gives you some sort of feedback either visually or through auditory cues that allows you to understand what your brain is doing. Specifically, Alphabeats trains alpha waves, which are very relaxed, meditative brain waves that we often inhabit when we're in a flow state. This company makes a device for athletes to help them train this flow state. There's also other types of neurofeedback devices like Muse. I think Neurable is another one. So there's several different neurofeedback devices on the market. There's lots of research behind this. Neurofeedback is a thing. It does work and it can help you train your ability to control your brainwaves. I would put this device in fun to test but not life-changing because it's a lot of time investment. I could also put it works, but not worth the investment, time, or money. I think whether it's worth the time and money is going to be up to you. I'm going to put it between these categories. I don't know if it's worth the investment for me personally, but I'm also not a professional athlete. I'm not someone who needs to train my mind to such a high performance degree. And then we have an epilator. Epilators are basically, if you imagine tweezers, a bunch of tweezers put on an electric machine. You roll it over, for example, your leg or your armpit or wherever you want to remove hair, and it will tweeze the hair out very quickly because it's just this rolling tweezer thing. So it's not pain-free. It's going to remove the hair a lot longer than shaving. This is something you want to use if you're not doing any sort of IPL or laser hair removal. And it works. I don't know if it's worth the investment in terms of pain investment. I'm going to put it next to Alphabeats in the in-between category. It works. It's not life-changing. It's kind of annoying to use. Yeah. A lot of my self-care tests have had to be put on hold due to pregnancy, but after I give birth, I'm definitely going to try a vagus nerve stimulator. If there are any other devices you would like me to test, let me know down below. And also if there are devices that you have loved yourself or hated, please let us know down below. So this is the final ranking of my face and body devices. Honestly, I've probably used more devices over the course of the past 10 years, but I think a big takeaway for me from using all these different devices is that most of them are unnecessary, some are helpful, and some I absolutely think are life-changing for me. But a lot of that is also going to be very personal to each of us, what we want to prioritize. Maybe some of you don't even care about clear skin. Maybe some of you are not really interested in walking pads because you'd much rather go walk outside. So I hope giving my personal experience and personal take has also given you some perspective on whether it feels relevant to you in your life. In general, I would say I'm a lot more of a device minimalist these days, and especially when dealing with sensitive facial skin, it's also just a lot of money. If there's something you've had your eye on, I think Black Friday and the holiday season is a great time to invest in these devices, but you absolutely don't need a device in your life. I mean, the basics of health are very simple: eating whole foods, getting enough sleep, making sure we move our bodies. All of these things can be done in a device-free way, so just keep that in mind. Ooh, of course. I'm gonna take this off and then I will come closer to share the results. I think it's hard to see in this light. I don't know how much that did. Anyways, I will continue to play around with these. If any of you have used these reusable eye patches, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. I just got them today, so this is a first test, but I've been talking so long. It's late. It's time for me to do my skincare and wind down for the evening. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.